we can fix it so we won't have panics and recessions and depressions, and everything is just going to be terrific. And so they passed it on a voice vote the night before Christmas. I don't know how many people were there. They didn't record the vote.
Right.
And it was another scam. And so the Federal Reserve, for almost 100 years, has done worse than its predecessor under the Constitution, the U.S. Treasury. And so if we're all going to do that bad, then we should take it back out of the hands of the Federal Reserve and put it into the Treasury, where we'll have some transparency and we'll have better control on it.
And you don't have to pay to borrow money from yourself.
Exactly. And so you have two instances just recently that the Federal Reserve, when asked by federal courts, have said, we would like to see what happened to $700 billion, and we'd like to see this or that. And they say, no, it's a state secret. And they tell the federal court to take a hike. It's incredible. And the American people don't know about that because they don't understand. I mean, they don't know anything about anything. And I know that's rather harsh, but it's true. I mean, I just can't believe how ill-educated people are. It's appalling. And so even if you explain it to people, they'll say, well, I didn't see that on TV, so I don't believe you.
Yeah, it wasn't on American Idol. Simon Cowell didn't tell me otherwise.
Well, whatever. And, so, we're propagandized tremendously. And, the people don't understand it. They don't know. They don't know that all the major television networks and newspapers are all owned by the same group of people. And they work with the powers behind government to control everybody as best they can.
Right. Now let me ask you, Bob, because I have a couple people asking in the chat room. If someone wants to call in, are you able to take a call or two before you leave us?
Of course.
Okay. Let me just put the number out in the chat room there because we did have some people asking. All right. We have the phone number if you want to call in, which is 646-929-0029. We only have Bob till the top of the hour, unless he all of a sudden gets a second wind here, because
I'll go to quarter past the hour, and that's it, because I get up at 3:30, so it's a toughie. But yes, bring on the calls, and I might tell the people how they can get a free copy of the publication.
Okay. I would love to hear about that.
The International Forecaster is about business, finance, economics, and social and political issues all over the world. We publish by email on Wednesdays and Saturdays, about 35 or 40 pages each time. And we have a hard copy that goes out twice a month for those who are not on the Internet. Now, you can get a free copy of either by going to any one of these three places. The site that we have on the Internet, the address is theinternationalforecaster.com. The International, Forecaster.com. You can use our email address, and if you have a question, you can send it in. We answer everybody. That address is bob@intforecaster.com. bob@intforecaster.com. And you can call toll-free 800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188, and you can get a free copy.
Excellent. I'm glad you're giving some of that information out for free. This is information that we all need to have when we're fighting the New World Order. Now, one question has been asked several times, and I'll ask this before I go to the calls. I see there's a few calls on hold already. Now, people ask me all the time, is there a safe place in the United States at all, or is there a continent or an area that I should look for if I was to vacate my my kids away from the tyranny that's about to go on in the U.S. because they don't feel safe in standing up for themselves?
Well, if you go to a foreign country, they won't let you work. Now, if you have money and you start a business, they'll let you do that. If you have children, it's very difficult because they have to learn a new language more often than not. I mean, going to Canada or New Zealand, Australia is okay, but they're going to have problems because they're in the same mindset as the United States is. You can't go to Europe because it's too expensive for most people, and it really leaves it out. And then you're faced with a language problem. The Far East or the Near East is a possibility, but again, the immigration laws are very tough. They think nothing of sending their people to the United States to break the law, but they don't want people in their countries to do that. So that leaves you Latin America, which is probably the easiest place for people to go to if they want to leave the country. But again, you've got to start a business. You have capital to do it. You got to show that you have capital or money coming in every month, and then you have to start a whole new life, and that most people can't handle, especially women. They usually don't want to change, and so then the alternative, if you're retired, it's easy. I mean, you just get a visa and you go there, and they don't care as long as you have an income and you're not trying to live on the government. As far as the United States is concerned, I think most people are aware of the best places to go, which are probably Montana, Idaho, Utah. They're probably among the safest. Any large city is going to be a problem. We don't know, what's going to happen. It's not going to be easy, and so you want to get away from the general big cities. But I have people in my family who are in law enforcement, and I mean they're having illegal alien and gang problems and crime problems, and in little towns in North and South Dakota, and places that you would never think that those kind of things existed, but they do. And so, I think the general thing is if it's possible for you to work and still move out of the big city, that's a good idea.
Okay. All right. So that answers a question pretty much from the chat room there. But doesn't the government feel as though, well, maybe not as many people would move to Montana as one would expect, because when you think of Montana, generally the Unabomber comes to mind, and people like that.
Well, I think that's an isolated case. You get more Unabomber types in L.A. and New York City than you will any place else in any major city. I mean, the more people you got, the more deranged people you're going to find. And that's true in every society, not just in America.
Right.
I remember when I was visiting Florence. I used to go to Italy a lot, and I had my mother and my mother-in-law with me at the time, and there was front page articles about the serial killer. He'd killed 48 people over like a 35 or 40 year period, and finally they caught him. And my mother and my mother-in-law were very relieved, needless to say. But they have deranged people everywhere. And,
right.
And so there's no escape.
Oh, exactly. Well, let's open the phones up right now. I'm going to bring on, we have KT from Oklahoma. KT, are you with us?
Yes, I am, Bruce. Thank you.
All right. Well, what can we do for you, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Yeah, I would like to ask a question based upon our good friend Tim Geithner, and he asked Congress to raise our debt ceiling up past $12 trillion this past week. How does that play into the fact of the international community trying to get out of the dollar and the possible collapse of the dollar, and considering our, the nation's credit going beyond 12 trillion?